thinking of corporate governance, an African proverb comes on my mind actually from my community. We say, when you want to know a rotten fish, then go to the head, go look at the eyes and go and look at the gills. If the gills and the eyes are rotten, then the whole fish will be rotten. Same goes with board of any organization. Board is the head. When you don't have a functional board, then the organizational performance is going to be nil. So we need organizations to be rooted on very, very good fundamental understanding of corporate governance, which is also a legal requirement because it guarantees interest of stakeholders to make sure that interests of stakeholders will be protected, and then to encourage sustainability of the organizations. So first, composition of the board. Board has to have a chair, has to have a secretary, and the key members. The key members will be representing different interests. But again, the board has to be made up of people who are knowledgeable on the interests they are trying to represent. In a good board, there should be people with also financial expertise, understanding, and then they'll at least form the committee that will be in charge of auditing and looking at the finances of the organization. Then again, organization should also have the board should also have at least somebody who has HR expertise and then legal expertise, so that all these areas can be represented well when board is discussing issues. Board is supposed to oversee at corporate level, is supposed to oversee performance of the operational managers, and this is very, very important. The secretary to the board will be the CEO or the chief executive of the organization, and he is responsible and reporting to the board, and then again he is also be implementing the decisions and policy frameworks and ideas that are coming from the board. Then the board will be overseeing how the organization works. So performance of the management team has to be overseen by the board. So the board has to have capacity to oversee performance of the management so that the organization benefits. Then matters of discipline as well, that also has to be handled by the board so that they make sure that you have a disciplined management workforce, or management and then the workforce. And board again, at any given time, and this sometimes is a challenge, and some bad practices that come with the board, there's no way the secretary of the board can also be the chairman of the board. That has to be separated. The secretary of the board has a clear role, and the chairman has a clear role. This chairman will be overseeing, and then a board will also have a number of sectional committees in the board that will be representing key interests. And then some of this can also be started by the chair so that key interests in the organization can be taken care of in a better way. And as I said also, these people coming to the board to represent particular interests must be renowned authorities, or they are people who are knowledgeable in those areas. Then the board has to protect the interests of the shareholders and then the stakeholders, not only the shareholders. Board has to ensure that there's proper reporting to the shareholders so that the organization can be sustainable, and so that through the stakeholding, through the stakeholders, especially the shareholders, they have to make sure that board reports to them. So the board has to report to them professionally. Yeah, and the elections have to be done as frequent as required, mandatorily, so that the board at any time will always be representing the interests of the stakeholders. And all the other committees that are going to be in the board, the people chairing them must be experts, and the chairman of the board should make sure that that works like that. So without a functional board, then the whole organization is not going to function. And another thing is interests. Board members cannot do business with the organization where they are board members. And if at all they have interest, then they have to declare interest before before any decision is made where they have interest, and that is very, very important. And ethically also, it's good to monitor performance and measure performance of the board so that the board can deliver. Gone were the days when you could just let board members work without measuring their performance. And another thing is, people volunteering to be in the board have to understand that they are volunteering. So there's no pay, there's no salary. They can earn allowances, sitting allowances, but no salaries are supposed to be there for them. They're supposed to be volunteers. And then one person cannot be in more than one board. If it is serious activity, not more than 2 boards at least. Let him, so that they can put in enough interest and time to serve the boards properly. It will be unfair if somebody is in a number of boards to a point where he cannot allocate his own time and his own energies to serve those boards properly. Those are the cases where we end up with non-functional boards. And then again, if you're not going to have time, then don't volunteer, don't accept to be a board member, because that's how we end up with non-functional boards where the chair and the secretary ends up running the show. And these are the cases where we end up with very high level corruption. And then again, if we take board members, if we elect and compose board with people who are not competent, then there's no way they can oversee accountability and performance in the management team, and especially management team of high caliber who are highly qualified people. So board members have to be people with better experience and better understanding of the activity of the board they are overseeing. And in such cases, organizational performance will be very, very high.